Yeah. So I but yesterday I went to go get my phone switched. And when I get there, they kept trying to scan my driver's license. And um as they were scanning my driver's license, I guess the girl finally looks at the darn driver's license and she was like, "Oh, your driver's license is expired." And I was like, "What?" Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I did just have a birthday, but I didn't realize that my license was expired. So I was like, okay, and this is what I told him. I said, "I'll be back." Just like, the Terminator line, "I'll be back." So I leave out of there and I zoom up to the DMV, not realizing, oh, they're on COVID kind of
Are
workout.
they still? Okay.
So girl, yeah, you got to go up there and then you got to text to say that you're there. And then they send you a back of things saying, okay, text that you're here. And then I text, "I'm here." And then they say, okay, wait in your car because we can only allow so many people inside. So
Wow.
I sat in the car for an hour, right?
Wow.
And then finally, when the hour is up, because they then send you a thing saying that you're next up in line. So you get up, you go in there, and they tell you to sit down, and then they, "Oh, you're getting your license renewed. Okay, fill this out." And then she says, "Do you want compliant or do you want standard?" And I said, "I want compliant, because normally I travel." So I said, "Compliant." And she was like, "Oh, well," and then she
Oh
pulls up
boy.
this list of stuff that I had to have.
That's
And I was like, "You could have told me
what
that
happened.
when
That's
you
what happened
sent
when
the
I first
text."
came back home. Yeah.
Yes. When you sent me the text, you should have said, because you asked, is it that you
Oh
for?
my gosh.
So now I got to run back home, get two bills. I get my birth certificate. I get all of this stuff. I go back up there, and then they tell me that they couldn't take my birth certificate because it was torn.
Oh wow.
So she was like, "Well, you just have to go and apply for a new birth certificate unless you have a passport." And I was like, "I got a passport, but why didn't you tell me that?"
Did you bring it?
I didn't have it. That's why
Oh,
I was saying I
you don't
got to
go
go
to those
back
places without a passport. That's there. This ridiculous.
Who
It's like
knew?
you have to open up a certain key in order to get the information. And
Right.
as you unlock a key, then they tell you a little bit more, a little bit more.
So I guess I have to go and get me a new birth certificate too at some point, because I got a 50-some-year-old birth certificate that's torn. It's raggedy. And but I got the original, but it's raggedy.
Hmm.
So I still need to get a new birth certificate. So that's going to be my morning. Yes. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. You are you not going downtown to get it?
No, I'm
You're
going to
gonna order online?
no, I'm going right over here to Chagrin and Lee.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be, I'll get that done and get everything all switched over and everything will be good. Are we kind of matching again?
I got on purple.
Oh, that's purple. Okay, I got on
Does
gray.
it look blue?
It looks gray, like
Oh,
gray with
does it?
little specks in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's my favorite color.
Okay.
Purple.
You're a purple girl.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, cool.
Yes.
So let's pray in real quick. Oh, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. Before I do that, this morning I was just, sometimes I get this thing where I remember hearing older people say prayers, and you
Mm.
know, it's like one of those things where you just think they say, linger, linger near, Lord. And I know that God is everywhere present,
Mm.
everywhere present. And so the idea of lingering near is just one of those things that we have in our head, but it is one of those things that just kind of brings comfort to you, because it's a place, it's like a touchdown. It's like something that we could remember. And they would just kind of say, linger, linger near and just wait. Oh, and so I'm just so thankful that I know when I feel the presence. And so as we just know and trust that God is in this space, wherever you are, wherever you hear my voice, that there is a connection that is now made. A connection from one heart to the other, from one mind to the other, in this thing called God. There is no separation, there is no space. So we just know that the words, the thoughts, ideas shared here are filled with your light, love, and wisdom to the highest. We bless this space, and so it is. Amen. You know,
Good stuff.
when Reverend Campbell used to, when he used to be in one of his moods, this was when I was young, he would sing that song, Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things that you get so emotional, and not just because he was emotional, but it was almost as if it was like you could feel this swooning, It could be just whatever it may be, but you could just feel this like, ooh. And you just know that you're in that power and that presence. You know that you are walking in grace. You know that all things are working out, that you have never been separate and apart. All of those things are just, and it's good, it's good, it's good.
Good to hold in that
Yes,
space.
yes, yes.
The
And so,
magic. Yeah.
yeah, and so when they
Getting
say
there.
wait on it, wait on
Right.
it, right? It's just like, oh, that's so good. It's so good. So good. So yes, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. I am so excited for the day. How's your day going so far?
So far, so amazing.
So far, so amazing. Did you go to the gym today?
I not on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
No, I
Oh,
stay here and use everything that I got around me. My weights and that crazy ab roller, which I'm going to give it away because I just don't think it's made for women. Because for whatever reason, I cannot pull my middle part down. So all of this gets worked out, my back and my upper arms and chest. But when
uh,
I do the ab, I do not, but I'll do a plank and I'll do a push up. But something about that, I am not in control. Interesting because everything turns into a message for me. But I was I was saying I surrender, but I could not bring myself to let my bottom half just collapse forward. So
uh,
I'm like, I'm gonna give this away. I'm done. I've had it for 4 years now, and I
I have one of
still
those
haven't
things too,
trusted.
and I don't ever use it. Well, no, let me take that back. It is good to hang your sweaters on. Like when you dry in the sweater, they
Yeah.
perfect.
No, no, I'm talking about the thing with the ball in the middle, the little
Oh,
hand.
girl, that's
That
no. I got one of those
I
too. I got one of those too. Oh yeah, no.
and I keep trying, and I'm just like, well, what it is working is my chest, my back, my shoulders, my arms, but it isn't doing nothing for my. Maybe it is doing something for my core, but
It's
I
supposed
can't.
to work your core, but yeah, I don't feel it in that area either. Yeah, I feel it more so. Let's see, when I roll up, I feel it across that
Yeah.
section.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So when I've had my sons use it or some guys that come over, they like zoop 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 zoop. So I'm like, this is made for a man. This is for whatever reason I don't feel confident enough to relax my core to just collapse forward. But every guy that tries it, it's like a natural thing. So whatever they learn growing up, and that they can just do it. I'm sure it was created by a man.
Different
But
set of muscles, I guess.
I guess, but I just was like, I can't do this. I'm giving this thing away. I'm sick of
Oh
it because
yeah,
it's there. I want to use it.
I don't use that either. I have it here, but I don't use it. Um, that's funny. But one of the things that I do have a weight bench, and
Mhm.
on my weight bench, I took the dumbbell off, and so I grab onto that thing and I do leg lifts. I do, up and down, up and down, and
Okay.
then
And
I
you
do
hold on to that?
bicycles. Yeah, so that is, that's working good on my core. I could feel it. I could feel it as it's working. The whole leg lifts, but I got that one section I gotta figure out. I got that one. Yeah, pelvis region.
Working it and wheeling it away.
Yeah, so all right, so welcome everybody. I'm sorry, we sometimes, yes, we do that because we don't talk on the phone
Mm.
like otherwise. We talk here, and so we do our little catching up and comparison usually before we go live with this, and or while we're going live with this,
Mm.
and then are amazingly blessed that you join us for our discussion on, and right now we are doing anatomy of the spirit, and
Okay.
yeah, and then who knows what the next book is going to be, but I am claiming it as going to be perfect whatever it is, and so we'll start taking recommendations and thinking about that.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, yeah, as we go along, doing that. I don't, not just because you give us a recommendation doesn't mean that we're going to do it though, because
Right.
I have had some stuff that I have just thought was just non-compliant with the ideologies that I believe. So I basically will look through something and try to see if it fits or works for me. I am right now in a book, and I want to tell y'all about this book for a second. It's called Be the Bridge by Latasha Morrison. And I'm not exactly sure of what denomination Latasha Morrison is in, but her book is really powerful in that it is talking about bridge builders as far as race relations. And she has in there scriptural references and study guides, basically questions and asking yourself different questions, and questions for a group. And I am finding the book to be extremely engaging, and the way that she talks about the principles, and I don't know if I want to say if they're just Catholicism or just the principles in general, but she talks about forgiveness and she talks about the power of confession, and she talks about it from looking at both sides. Like, whites are not the only one that needs to feel apologetic or to really check themselves, but that we all need to come in a humble sense that we all have something to contribute, to a part to play in the scenario that we have now. So I think it is a really powerful piece if you are looking for something as it relates to working in the field of social justice. I think it's really wonderful. It's a wonderful book so far. So Latasha Morrison, Be the Bridge, is really good. And I just started, there's another woman that I'm reading right now, and she's off the chain, so I'm still feeling that out before I give any recommendations, but I'm working on a couple now. I just finished the 5 a.m. club, which is Robin Sharma, and that book is amazing. It's a life changer. And so, you know, as I go through, there is a lot of stuff I love. I got a Libby app on my phone, and I got a Kindle on my Kindle. And I just love this idea of growing. I watched Erica's video yesterday, and Erica was talking about, she was like, it's so hard to come up with content when you're doing these, when you commit to doing a live. And so she was just talking about the content. And I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, read. So good morning, Erica. Read a book and then talk about the book. I mean, but it's actually so much rich stuff that stirs up in you when you start just delving into people's work. So
Right. And then it's also like, you know how when you are facilitating groups or whatever, um you say, when people say, I know this may be a stupid question, and you say back, no, it's not a stupid question. No question is stupid. And as a matter of fact, you may be asking a question for the person sitting next to you.
mhm,
So I think that books provide an opportunity for people to provide questions that other people may have had while reading the book, while gleaning the information. So I think the book does, any type of person's information, but a book does lend itself for you to ask some cool questions that the rest of the world might be
mhm,
asking too.
mhm.
And be like, oh, I thought that too when I read that book, but somebody has to raise their hand and ask the question. So I think it's cool. All these
Right.
people with these podcasts and things like that, like, because there's so much content everywhere.
Right. And too, and biographies are amazing too, because one of the things that it does is sometimes, like, we have this idea that, you know, everybody thinks that, I don't know, some people have these really amazing childhoods. And you know, Stephanie, there is a website that I was on, I did a CEU training yesterday, and it was on resilience and all this other stuff. And there is a website called ACES Too High. So ACES 2, like TOO, high, HIGH. And on this particular website, one of the things that they talk about is that the people, depending upon your childhood, you
Also,
will, uh,
this
your
is
life
about the,
expectancy,
yeah, okay.
um, how you process all of these things is impacted by what happened to you as a young child. And as I was looking down this list, girl, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know that I know anybody who didn't experience at least 2 or 3 of these. I wanted to say, well, wait a minute, what about the list for the Black household? Because this list here, did you ever hear yelling in your house? Like, daily. You know, or
Yeah,
did you ever witness some type of violent act, or did you, and you're just sitting up there thinking, like, okay, so I'm
a
high on
12.
this list. Yes, myself. So so in the Black community, because of all
Yes,
of
I
this,
am.
they're
Yes,
labeling as
I am.
stress,
Yes.
you know, all of us have stuff, and it's how we process that stuff that I think, you, so yeah, I think it matters. And we have been under stress so long that we no longer know what stress is.
Right. We make it normal. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that it's in our DNA.
Mhm.
Pull the trauma out, pulling it out and acknowledging it, because it's like embedded in our the fibers of our being. It's
Right.
it's protecting us. When people, scream the ego, the ego, the ego. Well, it's the ego family mass is what it's called in my area. And the ego family mass is my belief systems that I bring to the table. It's what I bring to the table, unconscious and conscious, but it's more unconscious than we want to
Oh,
give credit for. It's just so, yeah, it's true. That's all I can say. That's
And so,
crazy.
sometimes I think that what we do is, you know, I think that everybody needs a space where they can go and they have their just woosah, you know? And sometimes our relationships are even so fraught with, oh, you didn't hear us talking about you, Erica. She talking about she overslept. Good morning.
Oof, no.
But sometimes our relationships are so fraught with all of this drama and stuff. And sometimes we're even in the context of a relationship, there is this push and pull, this competition, this stuff that, so where do you go to really just decompress or de-stress, where you just get to show up as without all the other junk.
In your own space.
Ah, good.
It's so valuable, you know. Yeah, it's just so valuable because I wasn't taught that. I desired it forever. Um, but I took the traditional route on my journey. So, yeah, just having your own space and being okay with that, or going away to your own space.
Right.
To bring your power back, like,
Mm.
getting your power back. I took a 4-day little road trip by myself somewhere and stayed for 4 days. Just and it's very energetic. It's an
Mm.
energetic experience, and I think that if you don't live in your own space, you should get some consistent place where you are by yourself for a little while so you can even feel what your own energy is like. In that book that we read a couple of summers ago, the Pussy book,
Mm-hmm.
that book, it talks about energy and gathering the energy, but first recognizing that the energy is not there. And then when you have the energy, then oh, this is my energy field. This is where I'm filled up. This is how I know, this is how I recognize. And so having the energy comes when we can sit down and like be intentional about pulling it.
Right. And you know what? And so that's where we are in the anatomy of spirit. In
Mhm.
part, it is recognizing that this thing, our bodysuit that we think of as ourself, is is and I remember I asked everybody to watch The Matrix. So I'm gonna stop apologizing for referring to The Matrix. But one of the things that they kept talking about in The Matrix was this idea that you're a copper top, that you are an energy source. And in The Matrix, they were using the human body or human people as energy source to power the matrix itself, the machine. And so what we don't realize is that within our being, we have the ability. Oh, we are so powerful, and we don't even recognize how powerful we are, because a lot of times what we're doing is we're spending and giving our power away to stuff that has no ability to give it back to us.
Yes.
But one of the things that I used to do, and I got this from Laura Day, who I talked about when I was talking about intuition, I don't know, last week or something like that. These
Yeah.
days all
Mhm.
run together. But one of the things that they were talking about was how to get a sense of what your power is. And so she said, just like in the book Pussy by Thomas Hauser, Regina Thomas Hauser, Laura Day says, if you really want to just tap into your ability to draw things to you, she says, just sit there, and she says, and close your eyes and feel what it feels like to power up, to heat up. And she says, and what most people do in order to get into that space is, so hunger carries one kind of draw to it. But she said that if you really want to feel it, she says, heat up like you would if you saw somebody that you were attracted to, that you were trying to pull towards you. She said, feel yourself power up. And I was like thinking to myself, and so when you learn that you have the ability to control, you can heat up. That's one of the wonderful things about Reiki, that Reiki teaches you too, how to
I didn't know that.
draw that. Well, in Reiki, they teach you that you are, it's almost like a lightning rod, that you are bringing energy in order to send it out to another person, right?
Makes sense.
So you act as a conduit. But when you are using sexual energy, that sexual energy is something that can heat up your entire body. I used to have a German Shepherd. I got this little dog now. This little dog here is just it's an interesting dynamic. But I would always think to myself, this is what I always said: if a person were to get in an avalanche or to be caught outside at night, if you've got a dog with you, you don't have to worry about freezing or anything else, because dogs have this amazing ability to create a force field of heat around them. And if you are up against something like that, it's almost like this whoosh effect, right? Where they can just, they got the heat, they bring the heat. This little dog here is like a little furnace too. But she's such a little dog. but we each have the ability to create that. And so when you start to recognize that your body is a temple, is a power unto it. It has power, and it has the ability to wield power, but we don't know how to use it. And until we get to a place where we understand how to use it, and that just comes through practice. It comes through
awareness.
Yes. And so when in Regina Thomas Hauser says to talk to her and listen to her, right? Listen to your body, because your body will tell you when something.
Ask questions. And one of the things you talk about, the ACE scoring test. So one of the hiccups for people of color or anybody that's been through trauma is that listening comes with a lot of deconstructing. And that's where a lot of people have like tons of books or information and can't move forward, or they move forward like in centimeters. Is the trauma piece is just getting understanding and being aware that there's a trauma piece that plays such an amazing role on your ability to hear, your ability to listen, and the ability to feel your energy. Like it impacts that.
So since you just said that, I want to take this opportunity to read this. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this one section here. Clear intuition, I'm jumping a little bit. Clear intuition requires the ability to respect your own impressions. If you need another person to validate your own impressions, you interfere tremendously with your ability to intuit. Since healing, and I know I'm jumping, right? It sounds like I'm jumping, but when she's talking about dealing with trauma or healing from trauma, this is basically this is hand in hand. Since healing is non-negotiable, acquisitioners, and I'll back up and talk about what acquisitioners are in a minute, find healing a more formidable challenge than people who have a sense of active power. So that's what we're talking about, active power. Healing is above all a solo task. Now, hear me, Yeah, because a lot of times people go to somebody for healing. We talk about healers, we talk about doctors, we talk about prescriptions and medicines, but healing is a solo task, right? Because let me keep reading. No one can heal on behalf of another person. We can assist others, to be sure, but no one can, for instance, forgive someone on behalf of someone else, nor can any of us cause someone to release a painful memory or experience that he needs to release in order to heal. Because the very nature of passive power is power through attachments. It runs contrary to an acquisitioner's entire biology to release or detach himself from targets that are draining his energy. So let me go back, right? Wait a minute, I'm gonna finish this. Acquisitioners are almost programmed for conventional medical treatment. This is not necessarily always negative. Conventional treatment is the most appropriate form of healing for them as long as they remain passive. So an acquisitioner is somebody who has not found that they are their own power source, that they are that within them they have the ability to cause a healing or to generate power, or that they are sufficient and enough. So of themselves, acquisitioner is not able to stand. So one of the things that she uses as a demonstration or as an example is that people who are dependent on stuff, on substances, like she was talking about, there was a woman that she was working with, and she was talking about this woman and her dependency on cigarettes. And she says, what I realized is if I asked this woman, if I had two options in my hand, and I said, on one hand is your healing, and on the other is a cigarette, she says, the woman would have mentally said the cigarette, but energetically and emotionally, I mean, she would have said the medicine or the healing thing on one hand, because intellectually she knows that she needs to get the healing. But emotionally and energetically, her whole energy is going towards that cigarette, because that cigarette, she was thinking, was her lifeline.
It took the pain away. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times people will choose energetically and emotionally. What they're choosing is what takes the pain away. If it's the drug, if it is whatever it is that they think is their solution, they're energetically going towards that, rather than knowing that over here they can actually have their healing. And sometimes this is what blocks that.
Right. So it could be like the study with the women who were in hospice, who had not done sorry, who had not done self-forgiveness work. So all of the morphine and aids that were given to them to stop the pain wouldn't go away until they did the work to heal themselves, whatever that is, forgiveness or whatever, of the shame or whatever that pain body subconscious block that was in for them, for where they believed they had, life gone bad or gone wrong. And it wasn't until they released that then the medicine was able to work, but they had actually had to heal, and they had to choose to be healed in that arena for the external to actually work. Otherwise, the external, you can increase it, but if you don't get a hold of what something else on the inside is, like, if this not working, something is going on the inside. The Conversations with God says, if you do not go within, you'll go without.
Yeah, that's the truth. And so, I am constantly reminded, because let me tell you this. I used to have this friend who and we all know people like this. They get their sense of self or their sense of power from something outside of themselves.
Mhm.
So it might be, I met a guy one time at, I was at Heinen's, and this guy, he comes up to me in the store and he talks for a couple of seconds and then he says, "I'll see you in the parking lot." And I was thinking, okay, I guess I got to go out to get in my car. Okay. But when I come out of the store, he had pulled his car up to the thing. And now he's sitting there in his car looking up at me. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, like, is he still thinking that somebody is going to be impressed by a car? You know, it was one of those things like, of myself, I am nothing. But now I've got my car. You see me now? I'm thinking, whoa, oh, okay. Yeah, you want to be like, boy, bye. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like, it's like there's so much that people think that adds to them without knowing that of themselves you are sufficient. But as long as you are thinking that something adds to you, it's as if you've got to tie your energy to that particular thing. And so you've got
Exactly.
energy going over there that you need in order to function right here. So it becomes this thing of drawing your power back to you so that you see that it's not in the stuff, whatever you think that stuff is. It's not in the stuff, it is you. Ah. And so we see this happening over and over again. It's not just men, it's us.
Oh, heck no. It's yes, all of us that we have been trained. One of the things that, of course, this is hindsight, but when my granddaughter's 6 now, but when she was born, I said to my mother, don't start smiling at her if you're not going to keep it up, because we are trained to create the smiles. Our brains are created to create the smiles, the smiles, the smiles. And so we give our energy to create these smiles, and we do things so we can look around and see the smiles and see the smiles and see the smiles. And then after a while, you know, the smiles go away, and then they're not there anymore. I got to grab a call.
Okay. It's kind of like getting that attaboy. That's one of the things that, people talk about right here on social media, that what we do is that we're looking for people to affirm or, or give us that thumbs up or the little symbols. And so we become junkies for those things. It's almost as if, I don't know if dopamine is the right chemical to talk about, but it's almost as if those attaboys or those, likes give us some type of fulfillment. And then we start to look for those. What can I do? What can I, and so we put up pictures or we constantly do things trying to get these reaffirmations. And so that becomes another form of us becoming self-estranged, because now all of a sudden, instead of us being who we are and okay right as we are, we began spending all of our time trying to figure out how to get more likes, how to get more attaboys, how to get more of those things that say good job. And so that too is a form of energy drain when we are sending our attention outside of ourselves to look for that constant affirmation. And so when she talks about this thing of acquisitioners come in all kinds of forms, and the relationships to the power source are so drastically varied. So whether we are talking about getting our power sources through the things that we may be addicted to, or whether we're talking about our power source, whatever that may be, it is something that exists outside of your body that you are then flowing your energy to in order to get some sense of self, or some sense of validity. Hey, the doc is registering in. Hey, Doc Tracy. She says it is something to hear a person say yes or no, but their energy will scream something opposite. Yes. With cigarettes, many people have a secondary benefit to release, such as social time at work. You know what? And that is so true. Similar to sick people preferring sickness because of the attention. Let me see, I lost my spot. Whereas similar to sick people preferring sickness because of the attention. Yes. Yes. You know what? And it's so interesting. I think that became really prevalent when they started talking about Munchausen syndrome or something. I don't know how to say it exactly, but people who seek attention through certain other things. When you see smokers, it seems as though they have this social group that they know is, and they can tell you how long it takes to burn through a cigarette. And you kind of accumulate, you go outside or you're in whatever space you're in, and there is a cocoon effect that people just come into that space for that purpose, and there are relationships that are built around that sort of artificial thing. But without the cigarette, then where is the relationship? Or, so there's so many things that kind of that we take part in without ever really examining the payoff that we get from that particular thing. The same can be said with a lot of stuff, because to some degree, I think that sometimes our relationship with God is the same way. People will gravitate, or in religion, sometimes people get caught up for the wrong reasons, right? Even in our community, our ancestry, right? People can go to work and work at McDonald's, but when you walk into church, now all of a sudden you deacon or brother so and so. And so just having the title and the respect that comes when you walk into your church home or your church place becomes something that elevates and makes you feel as if your life is not just the thing that you're doing at McDonald's, but it becomes about something more. And so these kinds of payoffs, people will sort of look for and gravitate towards, because they need in their mind to feel that sense of worth that really should come out of you being fully who you are. That when you're authentic, it should come through that, as opposed to looking for a place where you get titles and respect given to you. So for me, I have been you know and it's always interesting too, the way other people see you, because you don't always see yourself as other people see you. In tarot, I of course, y'all know I read and I study some of everything, and so I always find the tarot deck interesting. But in one of the spreads that they do, there is these cards that you know that they turn over, and one is how you see yourself, and another is how others see you. And then another still is like the reality, the underlying truth about the thing. And then there is another still that talks about the future. But I always find it interesting, because the way that other people see us, and may see you or see me, is not always in alignment with the way that we see ourselves. I know I have heard people say that I want to see myself the way my dog sees me, because your dog looks at you and your dog is just seeing you as beautiful and thinking you wonderful and all that. all the time. They look at you with such loving eyes when you don't even look at yourself that way. So this idea of how other people see us is really sometimes can be very intoxicating. Sometimes it's very sobering too. I mean, really. Yeah. You're back, Stephanie.
I'm back. I'm listening.
So so this idea of acquisitioners, I thought was a really important one, because it says so let me read again for just a second. She says, I cannot emphasize this point strongly enough. The target to which acquisitioners connect their energy circuits are people or objects to which they have surrendered their power, specifically the power to control them. So she talks again about the woman with the cigarettes. Anna's addiction to cigarettes maintained more authority over her than her desire to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Unaccustomed to making empowering choices for herself, she was tied into a pattern of releasing her energy into the hands of others. So I think that there is sometimes we have to recognize that when we give over our power, now, so here it is, because sometimes people think that other people are snatching their power, like vampires or whatever. So there's a lot of times that we just relinquish power, we release power, we give over power to other people. One, sometimes out of fear, because and that's what we've always done, that's what we're accustomed to doing. They have the expectation when you don't give it over to them, then they sometimes browbeat you into this. Sometimes it is the avoidance of that whole energy dynamic. It's really interesting how that dynamic can work, because because without us recognizing that you get to choose, right? You get to choose when you draw back your power, when you take it back to yourself. And so if you recognize that you are always at choice, any day you wake up, you can be brand new. Who knew? And that's
I
what
think that everybody knows it. I think that everybody knows it. I think that what happens is that people effort and effort and effort. And when you're efforting without, when you're efforting and you're an acquisitioner and you don't get the assurance that you're efforting correctly, that's what so many rehabs and recovery programs are about as well, is because when you're an acquisitioner, you need the affirmation that I'm doing this. Even the keeping the energy to myself needs to be something that needs to be acknowledged. And at first it is acknowledged externally. That's what the AAs and all the other support groups are for, because you get this camaraderie and this collaboration. But the goal then is to then be able to own that for yourself, to own it for yourself. And that's why certain tribes or groups will, give you that information, but then they will put you on a path to be on your own and do that and know that you got this without the external. But a lot of times acquisitioners will choose negative energy because they want to give their energy away, and they need to learn to keep the energy to themselves and adore the rightness of who they are on their own. Like,
right, that would just seem so much more powerful if you could figure out how to stop hemorrhaging energy,
mm-hmm,
right? um because so it's one thing, and I know from the Celestine prophecy, when I read that, I know that people, once they get addicted to receiving your energy, they want to fight for it as if I need that. They need
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But two, even as they do that, that needing that, that means that then too, they are losing energy, because part of that, when you're getting it outside of yourselves, there is some loss that's going on, whether you are absorbing it or whether you are flowing it, right?
Or you can be in a reciprocal energy where where there is a sense of reciprocity,
Mm,
kind of like what we're doing.
mm,
When there is reciprocity, if you are a person where this type of exchange builds you up, then you'll have energy when you walk away from it. But if engages like this exhaust you and deplete you and you feel tired and overwhelmed, then you are the type of person that this type of exchange is depleting of your energy.
mm. Okay.
But if it's reciprocal, it's a flow. It
Mm.
is a flow,
So,
but with the acquisitioner, there's this energetic hook
right.
that snags onto something and says, if I don't have this, something is not okay.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, so I don't so I don't perceive us as drawing, sucking energy from one another so much as we are like putting it up here and then commingling in it. So
Right. But there's a flow.
yeah.
But it's no
Okay.
sucking. It's just a flowing. It's just a
Right.
flow.
Right. So any of this stuff can be something that detracts from the process that we are after, that we are trying to engage in.
Yes.
And so it becomes this thing of just trying to figure out how to how to become the powerhouses that we actually are, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we stand in the energy that is actually our own? And so without doing that, what we continuously do is we lose our power. So sometimes it is, like me, I feel like I'm at one of those moments where I'm not trying to armor up, because I realize that armoring blocks blocks the flow, right? Armoring is not what
Ooh,
I'm trying to
it's so true.
do. Yeah, and people armor up in a number of ways, trying to say, okay, I'm not, you know.
I'm quick to armor up. I'll be like, clink, 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 clink. Learning. I am really learning how to just be like, and then I'll clink up and then I'll be like, oh, what the heck? And then I open up and shut it down. And so, yeah, and that's because I'm learning how not to armor up. And it's been very difficult. It's a crazy task to not armor up, but oh wow, I probably was an armadillo in another life because I can go there real quick. Like I'm done. And then I just kind of, and so now it's open. It's crazy, but anyway, I'm
Yeah,
always
I
telling
know
you.
other folks that are like that too, that really will armor up and shut people off. It's like what is that thing that they had on castles? It's called a moat or something like that. They pull up the
The
gate and,
bridge, yeah.
yeah, and just like, yeah, no. No, and I just sit there looking like, wow, okay, it's like that.
Yeah. So I'm just saying for those who are going to be working this journey to stay open, even with the untethered soul with Michael Singer, it is a process. So don't feel like, don't beat yourself up because you will open and then you'll close again, you'll open and you'll close again. It's just a part of the journey of staying open. Um, and staying open is just like so much fun. It's almost like trying to balance on a balancing beam. Like how long can I stay up here to get from one end to the other without toppling over or touching the ground? It's like that, like staying open for my journey. Staying
Okay.
open is like that. It's like, okay, all right, I'm gonna walk. This is gonna be okay. We got this. We got this. We got this. So it's it's been fun, but it's a real thing. Like, cause I'm done with that until I'm not.
Yeah, yeah. So I will say that one of the things that the Abraham Hicks works talks about is this energy vortex. They always talk about it in the sense of being a vortex. And if we know what vortexes are. Vortex is like this swirling energy, and how do we get into the vortex so that we're not just feel or create a vortex of our own, right?
Mhm.
How do we be there without necessarily feeling like we're these sieves that stuff is just constantly going out?
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why I talk about whether it is meditation that you choose to do, or journaling, or doing something, gratitude, something that feeds your soul.
Mhm.
Finding something that feeds you, as opposed to just looking at, I got 100 watts of energy today, and how am I going to spend that, allocate it out, or how am I maybe losing that along the path that I'm walking on a particular day? Instead of just looking at it like that, how do I get some compounded stuff coming in?
I love that, right?
Yeah. And so when you find that so what I find is that when I do stuff like this, when I am giving, I find
Mhm.
that I get more. Because
Mhm.
they say that in the Course in Miracles that the cost of giving is receiving.
Mhm.
And so,
I like that.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's powerful. So the more you give, the more you find, and this is not giving in a sense of like just giving over something, like, yeah, you take my last, no, it's not like that. It's like, what, I'm doing that same thing that we talked about when we started the hour, when we talked about Reiki. I
Mhm.
am going to be a conduit through which this flows. Remember, the analogy that Marianne Williamson uses is that you are the faucet. I'm a faucet, but God is the water. And so if I open up, I can't help but get wet too, right? And
Right.
so that's how we have to look at this energy. Let me get wet too. let me, let me open up. So yeah, I think it's an amazing thing when we start to be more conscious about what it is that we are flowing into the world.
Mhm. Mhm. And giving out and learning to be
Mm-hmm.
aware. Like, awareness is just so important.
Mm-hmm.
Just being aware that we're doing that, being aware.
and
Just
and and so we're back to awareness, because along the way we've given you guys little assignments, and hopefully things that you're doing about being conscious about what you need to forgive and release, and this idea of awareness. And that's one of the wonderful things too about a journal, right?
mhm.
You sometimes, when you're writing on a daily basis, sometimes you flip back a month ago and you say, man, am I still complaining about the same thing? Like, let's get on with it, so to speak. Or you sometimes you figure out, you see the beauty in yourself, and sometimes you see what would the other thing be called? You see the beauty, or you can see your own
The
psychosis.
area of opportunities.
Yes, there you go. Thank you very much for that. Yes, you can see an area of opportunity where you can heal what
Yes.
you may have been obsessing over.
Yes.
You can see the decision points, and the circuitous route that we may go in order to get us to that place where we desire. You guys, I saw a powerful, powerful thing yesterday. I don't even know that I'm ready to do it, but since it came up in my mind, I'm gonna share this with you guys real quick, and then it's time for us to get off of here. It's been time for us to get off of here. But one of the things I was watching Jean Houston is somebody that I just adore, and I used to talk about her on here all the time. She's got a something coming up real soon where she's going to be talking. I sent
Today.
you. Is that today?
Yeah, at 8:30
8:30 this morning?
tonight.
Tonight. Girl, why did I think I signed up for it and I didn't even look at the date. I didn't put it on my calendar. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, it's today. I was trying to see if I had anything on the paperwork. You sent it to me.
Yeah, I sent it out because I was like, ooh, but I didn't, sometimes I sign up for stuff and I don't put it in my
Yeah,
calendar.
I believe it was the 17th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I gotta open my calendar back
I
up.
put it on I wrote it on my calendar. I didn't put it in electronic because
Okay.
I need to start doing that, but I didn't.
So one of the things that Jean Houston did on this exercise, she was speaking at someplace at a college or university. She said, she had people rub their hands. It's like we go and pray it in and rub your hands together. And then she was like, she put her hands up and she says, now, if you could see your future self, your desired self, you can connect with that person. Imagine that they are touching your hands back, right?
Oh, that's good.
And then it's kind of like the bridge thing. Like now, from where you perceive yourself as to the self that you see as your possibility that is standing in front of you. What's that bridge? What needs to happen in
Oh my
order for you
God,
to
I can't
move
even
from
start with that.
this self to that one? What needs to happen?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that Robin Sharma would say in that book, The 5 a.m. Club, is that we have to, a lot of times what people do is that they see where they want to go and they just really think about, oh, like, oh, so let me use, I got another girlfriend, I'm gonna use her as an example. She always talks about she wants to lose weight. She says, instead of saying whatever, she says, I want to lose 80 pounds. And I used to tell her all the time, why don't you just focus on 5, right?
Mm.
I mean, to me, it's like when you say 80 is really big to get your mind.
Far, far away.
Yeah, 80 is just, and then you get discouraged. Just look at 5 to me. And so when when Robin Sharma presented that idea in his book about S to the third power, he said small, simple steps.
Yes.
Focus in on small, simple steps. That's S to the third power. So what's the smallest simple step that you can take in between the self that you are into the one that you desire for your future? What's the smallest simple step? And sometimes that smallest simple step might be, if you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, it might be cutting that down by a couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if that,
I say mirror work because I love mirror work
okay,
and
mirror
having
work.
that conversation with yourself first thing in the morning,
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know, set the intention. And the number 2 intention means that I will not beat myself up if I do not live up to this intention. But just saying that to yourself every day, looking in the mirror and choosing you
yeah,
is like made amazing.
right.
It's just committing to yourself every day and being open to change. I think we need permission to heal and to grow. I think we need to give ourselves permission to do something different. I give myself permission to do something different. I give myself permission to operate as if I'm 80 pounds lighter right now.
Okay. Yeah.
What does that mean? Who must I, Bernard Beckwith, uh, Michael Bernard Beckwith says, who must I become in life visioning? Who must I become? What needs to happen in me in order for me to walk this in a reality?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Small, simple step.
Small, simple
Small,
steps.
simple step.
Yeah.
And if we just do those small, simple steps, whatever that may mean for you, I mean, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right?
No,
When I first
perfect is not reality anyway.
Right. When I first started waking up at the 5 a.m. for the 5 a.m. club, I did so from my bed. I woke up and I looked at my phone and I just logged into the group. I did that for a day and then another day and then another day. And it was a week before I was able to get up and actually do that call sitting up.
Mm.
Then so it was baby steps for me. It wasn't like I just decided, okay, I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. And then now I'm waking up at 4:15 so I could get up and be sitting at the table when I take the call. And then I need to get up and then take a shower, sit at the table and make the call. Then
Right, exactly.
work out, and then I could work out and then sit at the table, take the call, and then hop in the shower. It was incremental. It didn't
True.
happen overnight.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was a challenge for me. But each day I was doing something. I was doing something. And so now I'm getting up, I'm getting my workout in. It's like, whoa, yay, when did this become a part?
Right.
And so that's one of the things I was telling Rhonda. We are at day 70 of working out. And I could see the transformation in me, in my conversation, in how I feel. I could see the transformation there.
Hmm.
Who knew? And when they say,
Your highest self knew.
yeah, maybe it did. But I'm so glad I'm here. And so when I'm going through this and I'm looking at this and talking about the idea of the small simple steps, is in each one you just putting one foot in front of the other, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's
No,
not going to happen overnight, but give
but
yourself
it's
permission.
doable.
Yes, it is absolutely doable. Give yourself permission, whatever that may mean. And even this idea of taking back your energy, it does not happen overnight.
Oh,
Yeah, it's something
please
that
know
you're
that.
building to,
Yeah.
right? And if you are worshiping at somebody else's feet and deriving your power, your energy from that somebody else, it takes a minute before you first sit up. Then you gotta, you get to your knees next. And then maybe you start to crouch and, before you stand up tall. It takes some unfolding. All of this does. So wherever you are on the journey, yes, I'm just so glad that you're on there. Once you recognize that, you can start to walk your journey back to your higher self. That's so good to me. All right. So Stephanie probably had to take another call. You guys, it is time for me to get off of here. I've got some running to do, and I am just trusting that something in this is resonating with you. I know that it is, because it's resonating with me. And like I said, I've done this book at least 3 times, and it is just a powerful reawakening and reclamation of self. So I'm glad that you are here. I didn't cover all of the things that people get or derive their power from, but I'm sure that once you have the framework, you can sort of make those connections and see how that might be operating and in effect in your life. I don't know if it's true or where you are in that, but it becomes this thing of taking back your power. Um, and sometimes it's, you got to identify when it's false power too, that becomes a issue. All right, so I'm blessing you, knowing that your day is going to be amazing and wonderful, and that everyone who encounters you or even looks at you will be blessed by your presence. Right, that's one of the things that I do all the time. I'm blessing myself so that everyone who lays eyes on me just absorb this wonderful energy that is coming through me. As a matter of fact, I'm blessed so that I can be a blessing, as we all are. So if you know that and you walk in that energy, you never how longer have to say, why are you looking at me? You'll know that they're looking at you because you are blessed and they getting blessed through looking at you. They talking about you. They are blessed because they are speaking your name. So don't even fret it. Just know that you are blessed to be a blessing. It's flowing through you all day, every day. So with that, the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is good, and ain't nothing you can do about it. All right? Have an amazing Saturday. We will be here tomorrow morning again, same time, same place. Ish. And then I'll be doing my Sunday talk at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Thanks, Stephanie.